my dream fight right now, I think the best fight we can put on is Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev.
Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis. Now that's very interesting to me.
And getting that Khamzat fight, that gets me excited. I think the whole world, the fans wants to see it.
Let's go, brother. Let's go.
In a sport built on chaos, some matchups just feel like ticking time bombs. And Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev feels like a lit fuse, seconds from detonation.
That's South Africa for you, baby.
I'm the jump, I'm the kick.
Is there no one else?
Give me the belt.
One and done.
Khamzat is a tremendous hammer.
Oh, it's thunder.
But Dricus Du Plessis is a tough nail.
What are you going to say about him now?
That's the fight that has to happen.
They are coming to absolutely destroy one another, and I cannot wait for it.
That's the fight.
The champ Du Plessis fights like the rules don't apply to him, and somehow they don't. Awkward, aggressive, and impossible to discourage, he's gone from overlooked to undeniable, dragging opponents into deep water and drowning expectations along the way. But now he faces Chimaev, the hungry, undefeated Chechen wolf, a force of nature with a trail of broken bodies behind him, finally arriving for a title shot that's felt inevitable since the day he entered the UFC.
I'm the most dangerous guy here. I'm told that before, so I'm ready for take my belt. Be ready, I'm coming for you.
Couldn't get the welterweight title, definitely not getting the middleweight title. Talk about a waste of potential.
He backs people up, I don't back up. He uses his strength as a weapon, and in this case, he has a gun, and I have a tank.
This is my job, this is my goal, to get the belt and to be the best guy who could be in the UFC,
This isn't just a championship bout. It's a test of extremes, chaos, control, will, and pure violence at the highest level. It's the immovable object versus the unstoppable force, and something has to give.
This fight is what really sets MMA apart from other combat sports. This kind of matchup, I cannot wait to see it.
Let's take an inside look into this explosive matchup at UFC 319. If one thing has become more and more clear throughout Dricus Du Plessis' title reign, it's that the fans are slowly learning to trust in his skills. Sometimes it might not actually be obvious when we try to figure out what the hell to expect from Dricus. But if one thing is certain, it's that he's a damn good fighter.
DDP was made, probably everybody I know put our foot in our mouths. This guy just keeps on winning even when we don't think he can.
I mean, maybe not a guy who wows you with style or grace, but he's got every skill in the book. He's got more will than most, and he is still the man at 185.
People tend to look at his fighting style and assume that it would be picked apart by a more technically proficient opponent. But when DDP found himself in the cage with slick strikers like Israel Adesanya and Darren Till, it didn't matter. And when he was up against more gritty opponents like Robert Whittaker and Strickland, he leveraged his advantages in other ways. To simply call DDP a powerhouse would be underselling him. He's a far more technical striker than he's given credit for, and highly durable when it comes to absorbing damage. Plus, when it does get to the mat, there's a lot more going on with his grappling than meets the eye. His combination of strength and technique allows him to smash through his opponent's defenses.
That's a guy who's so big.
You can tell he's strong. He's not easy to take down.
There's videos of Dricus Du Plessis online taking on an entire Gracie Barra black belt team and submitting them all one by one. He's big, he's strong, he can wrestle, he's got great judo.
DDP is as well-rounded as can be, and despite the fact that everyone thought he was an awkward and somewhat lucky fighter on his rise, we've come to realize that there is quite a lot of method to the madness he presents in the cage. You don't just finish guys like Whittaker and Adesanya without having some real class to your game. And if we learned one thing through his 2 clashes with Strickland, it's that he's very clearly still improving his game. Because in that second fight, DDP was very clearly the one who had learned from his mistakes the most, showcasing growth in ways that Strickland couldn't match.
he just showed a completely different level. When he was hitting Strickland, he was having an effect almost every single time.
You know, I stayed calm in this fight. I had a year in between to get better, to train as a world champion. I wanted to be more accurate, calculate my strikes. Every fight they postpone it, every fight I'm getting better. It's easy as that.
But if there's one guy in the division who could potentially have DDP totally outgunned in one key area of the fight, it's Khamzat Chimaev.
A force unlike anything the fight game has ever seen. Here is Khamzat Chimaev, the Chechen Swede.
Considering how fast Khamzat Chimaev burst onto the scene and made a name for himself, to say that his rise into title contention has been slow would be putting it mildly. Chimaev burst onto the scene with a record-breaking turnaround of 10 days between his debut and his second fight, and as he hopped between welterweight and middleweight, we were convinced that the sport had found a fighter with a totally new level of willingness to compete.
Now it's just a matter of you know, how many times can we actually fight this guy by the end of the year? I mean, it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it, and this kid is going to be a massive superstar.
But Khamzat's hype train has really slowed down in the time since. From 3 fights in 3 months to pretty much just once every year. Outside of 2 fights in 2022, he fought once in 21, once in 23, once in 24, and now he's probably signing on for his sole fight of 2025. But when Khamzat comes to town, the fight is always a spectacle. Sure, his momentum has slowed, but his performances haven't.
Do you know who Khamzat Chimaev is?
Yes.
That's another guy that everybody's like, I can't wait to see that motherfucker fight again. Can he fight again tomorrow?
I want to see him fight too.
Can he fight tomorrow?
He's entertainment.
He's a freak of nature. He's really smart. He knows what to do. He's got sick timing. He's got a super genius fight mindset. He's just a swarm.
This guy is an absolute menace of a grappler. This is a fighter that is maturing, that is getting better, and has had to experience in-cage adversity. And he's always responded pretty well to those things.
That blitz that you had was just getting guys out of there. But then as you raise in competition, those guys are tough enough, have seen enough to where they might still be there. In the end, do you have to start a little slower?
No, I'm gonna be myself, man. Just gonna go and fight with this guy, man. So if he run away, I'm gonna run after him. If we're gonna fight, I'm gonna fight. So it's gonna be Khamzat Chimaev there.
Khamzat has the type of aggressive first-round approach that could probably allow him to run over every single fighter in the division in the first 5 minutes if he was on his game. In other words, like Dricus, he's also a bulldozer, and it really does make the idea of these two colliding quite interesting. Khamzat is still a big star for the promotion, and considering that he's coming off the biggest win of his career, he also has momentum. Sure, people don't trust in his level of activity anymore, but he's coming in there after mauling Robert Whittaker with no concerns over his ability to make the 185 limit.
Does this bring back the X factor of Khamzat Chimaev, the big bad wolf that was coming for everybody? He kind of lost it a little bit because he went the distance in the last 2, hasn't fought all that often, was injured. Is it back now?
This was the guy we fell in love with, the guy who can come out there and get things done. Not the guy who fails on the scale that we talked about, not the guy who just doesn't show up sometimes. This was the guy.
Chimaev is a special human being, and I want to see him fight for the belt.
But how will this one actually look on fight night? Well, what we've got here are 2 absolutely relentless fighters, 2 athletes who aren't afraid to push hard on the accelerator, while, to some degree, still possessing some ability to retain cardio into the later rounds.
Khamzat Chimaev has always talked a good game. He's always performed very well. He's finished a lot of people like Robert Whittaker so quickly in the first round, but the criticism has always been if he doesn't finish them in the third, he gets tired. And what's going to happen in a 5-round fight?
I can't see anyone really stopping Chimaev's takedowns. I guess the question always comes in is like, can DDP drag it into those later rounds? Can he get through the first grappling exchanges? Because honestly, if Chimaev can't get DDP out of there, DDP wins. Like DDP wins almost every fight. You can't get rid of him, right?
Both of these guys will probably look a little worse for wear if they push hard in rounds 1 and 2. But we've seen both of them, and in particular DDP, fight through fatigue and produce results. And if I had to guess, Chimaev is more likely to get overwhelmed late, based on his bouts with Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. It was almost a running joke through Dricus' early career. He would look incredibly awkward and tired by the middle points of rounds 2 or 3, and then he'd find the finish.
I just don't know if Khamzat's gonna be able to bully him in the first round like he bullies everybody else. I just don't see it. Dricus is gonna force him to trade, and I think Dricus is a harder puncher.
When Khamzat fights, you can see he is strong against his opponents. But then you look at a guy like Gilbert Burns, you look at a guy like Kamaru Usman in the lighter weight division that went out there and they fought him. They didn't defend his wrestling, they wrestled him back. We've seen this with Khamzat, slowing down after the first round, round and a half. And I think that is because he uses so much power. He has the wrestling technique, of course, but he uses his strength as a weapon. And in this case, he has a gun and I have a tank when it comes to the strength. There's not a middleweight that's going to overpower me. It's not going to happen.
Sometimes his body language can fool people into thinking otherwise, but the longer this fight goes, it probably favors Du Plessis. I think he also has the advantage in the striking department as well as raw power on the feet. But if Chimaev gets one takedown early, who's to say that Dricus will hold up? Sure, he's definitely a skilled grappler, but you've got to have some real fundamental strength to contend with a wrestler like Chimaev.
Wanted to get your thoughts on Dricus as a champion, his run so far, and what do you make of his grappling?
What do you think, guys? How I done with this guy, Rob? How he done? Rob took him down. So if Rob took him down, so there is salam alaikum.
To do that to Whittaker like that, a guy who's a world champion, Khamzat just charged in, dove in, got him down, and mauled him. Mauled him until he broke his face.
Do you think it's different with Du Plessis? Because he can wrestle.
He can wrestle. He's got very good jiu-jitsu. He hits fucking hard, and he's a big, durable dude. But I don't know if he's going to be able to wrestle with that guy.
Khamzat is a different kind of beast. The hands are good on Khamzat. People forget about that. He's got power. The question is, can he go 5 rounds? He can't expect to go out there and just get a hold of Dricus, ragdoll him to the floor, and face crank him, smash his teeth in like he did to Robert Whittaker, and walk away. But the fun thing about Khamzat is that he'll try and do that.
That might be the worst thing he can do is if he goes, okay, I know I need to be able to fight 25 minutes with this guy. I'm going to pull back. You can't let somebody like Du Plessis get into that fight and find their rhythm and start to land those weird shots and stumble into a takedown on you, get on top. He's a big, heavy, strong dude, and he's a big guy for that weight class. So I think Khamzat's best chance is to just rest on his laurels and go out there and do what he does all the time and hope to get him out of there in the first few rounds. That's what he's got to do. I think he's got to fight him hard early, try to hurt him bad, and try to submit him or knock him out.
Go for Khamzat.
Is Khamzat going to be able to take me down? Absolutely. I would hope so. Isn't he like some Swedish champion or something? I would hope he could take me down. But then he has to deal with me on the ground, and he has to keep me there. Can I take Khamzat down? Absolutely. Am I going to take Khamzat down? Absolutely. This is a 5-rounder. We can wrestle that first round, the whole first round. And then we come out in that second round and we'll see what we feel like. And then we're going to fight my fight. Then we're going to wrestle on my terms, and then we're going to strike on my terms.
I think you have to fight him on the ground. I think you can't avoid it because he's just going to take your back and ride you out.
That's where he's most dangerous. If he takes you down and gets your back early, that fight could be as good as over.
We don't even know if Khamzat has that cardio issue anymore, because the last time we saw Khamzat fatigue in a fight was against Kamaru Usman, and Khamzat said that he was sick in that fight. He has a new training camp, much better coaching, much better teammates, and much better just athletes around him. Khamzat's probably even stronger than ever before, but Dricus is the only fighter that can fight against that strength from the first round to the 5th round.
Also, again, dude, DDP is going to be hard to hold down. He's going to be hard to manhandle. He's going to be hard to physically move around. The dude's a fucking tank. But one of the hallmarks of MMA is its capacity for insane, electric, balls out fighting. And we know Khamzat can deliver that. And if there's any kind of dance partner who you would want to see that up against, not even just because he has the title, although that certainly adds to it, it's Dricus Du Plessis.
It's going to be fireworks. I think it's going to be two absolute warriors in there, 2 bulls, and seeing who backs down first. But if it goes past round 2, it's going to be smooth sailing.
Boaz the Wolf is such a good villain. He finally gets a shot at the belt. Can he pull it off? Can he live up to all the hype?
To call this a simple striker versus wrestler matchup would be selling it short, even if both camps know where their fighter has the edge. But what makes this fight so compelling is how many questions still remain.